So, done some work here. I got the door off and I put in a brace for when I cut out the rocker here. This is the biggest part of this repair. Basically, I just want to make sure that it doesn't flex too much or cave in on itself when I pull this part out, because it's a lot of structure to be removed. I've got new rocker panels from Anything Scout. This is the internal rocker, the inner rocker, and they're nice because they're as long as the whole span of the rocker, so you don't have to worry about if the whole thing's bad, you can actually replace the whole thing. So I got this one, and then I've also got the actual outer rocker panel, and they're all pre-drilled, which is nice. I also have footwells in here, and new wedges, which will sit in here like that. This is giving me a new, this is going to brace these together so that when I separate them from the actual inner rocker, everything stays level to how it was originally, so that I can cut in the new one and then kind of know where this all goes together. I ended up realizing I needed to take, I felt like I needed to take off the quarter panel, because the quarter panel wraps around and covers this whole part of this rocker, and I'm probably going to be cutting into the outer part of this rocker to attach the new one. So I had to pull this off, and this was pretty challenging. There's a lot of bolts. There was 2 under here. There was 1 on each one of these pieces of the wheel well. There's 4 across the top here, and there's a hidden screw under this piece. And that was a fun one. It took me a minute to find. A lot along here, up inside of this, so you have to kind of come in through the headlight, and there's 3 there. There was 2 here. These were the worst ones because they were frozen the worst for me. These are the backers to them, so they just start free spinning as soon as you start loosening it up. So I had to stick vice grips down here and clamp these pieces in so they didn't just free spin on their own. So also be careful when you pull the quarter panel off, because this is the marker light, and I accidentally broke the inside of my marker light, so I'm going to get a new housing for that, because this is a clip and the old marker lights are old and they're plastic's weak, so they just sort of fail. So the next move for me is going to be to start grinding away, and I'll start cutting into this, and we'll see how that goes. I cut out the rocker, the inner rocker and the outer rocker, kind of trimmed it all down to where it needs to be, got rid of the really bad rust spots. One of the main structural pieces here was unfortunately also rusted out, like where it met the rocker, because the rocker was so bad that it toasted it. So I'm looking at, I'll have to like manufacture something welded on. That'll be probably a little weird for me. I've never done anything quite like that either, so that'll be interesting. But I've got the rocker all laid out and clamped on, so it's time to start to tack it in. I did do 2 spot weld drills. So this is the structure piece I was talking about. Doesn't quite meet up. This is the way it should be. It's supposed to roll down, and then I'll weld that in. Just drill some spot welds into it, and maybe do a little bit around the bottom. But there's 2, like, these are both fine. This one, unfortunately, this was so rusted out, so I cut that piece off, and I have it, and I'll try to remanufacture it, maybe a little differently than it was originally, but something that, just to get that floor strength. Then, so I cut, so there's still this, I used some Pour 15, got some stopper paint into the rocker and all around here, but this meets up pretty good. I've got 2 spot welds drilled there, and then I'll do a seam all the way around that part, and then I might do more than that. I think I was kind of thinking about maybe coming in here and also doing this, but that's kind of where the rocker needs to meet up, so I'll think about it. I could probably grind it down enough to make it sit okay, the new rocker. I just want to make sure it's strong because there's not a lot of meat there. And then here, I cut out the bottom there, and I'll go around this top piece all the way down. And then I also did some spot welds there. And also did Pour 15 all down this rocker as well, so to try to stop it from rusting in the future. I literally just got the distance to this that I need. I literally used a tape measure, got it to where I wanted to, ground off the, cut off that last bit, and now I'm good to start tacking. So I'm gonna do that now. So I've got the inner rocker welded in at this point, and what I'm trying to get done is cutting the outer rocker to shape. So this is where I'm at. So basically the inner rocker here is welded, just tacked in here and in a couple other spots, and the I've got this braced so I can get my level later. And then I'm working currently on getting the outer rocker cut into shape. So I'm just getting measurements, and we'll get this all cut up, and then we should be ready to start working on getting the inner supports and the bushing on, and getting the floor pan back in. That's a pretty big deal for me because that's rebuild, which is awesome. I'll try to do a better job showing the welding process and go from there. All right, so I spent a fair amount of time after I got the inner rocker and getting this door aligned. The hinges are pretty out, but as you can see, it kind of hangs low here. But if it's all in place, it actually shuts, and it's actually aligned about how I'm going to leave it. So now what I want to do is I want to get the quarter panel back on to make sure that I don't have this too far back or too far forward. And then once I've got this all lined up properly, then I'm going to put the outer rocker on, because we don't want to have it, I don't want to weld this all in and find out that, oh, I put it too high or it's a little bit too low and it can't actually get the alignment on the door very good. So we're going to go ahead and get this quarter panel back in place. I kind of cleaned it up. I'm going to do a little bit of more cleaning here real quick and kind of rattle can some of this to keep rust prevention. But yeah, that's where I'm going to start. trick. You tape your paint can to your Sawzall and it's a shaker. Just saw this on YouTube recently. I don't really watch YouTube that much, but that was kind of neat. I think some guys do this with like a rubber band, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use electrical tape, see if it works. Works probably better with a real Sawzall. Not worth doing. While this is paint's drying over here, I need to fix this support. And I have sort of categorized that before, but basically this piece rounds down, and this one is basically it rusted out all the way down. And I have the original piece. This is it here, and as you see, it's completely rusted out. So I'm going to try to manufacture a replacement for that out of some of the leftover metal I have that I've cut out. So you're about to see me do something I've never done before, and I'm probably not going to do very well. But I'm going to try it. So I have to replace this piece. It's completely rusted out. I'm going to try to make something. It's not going to be the same because I don't have any metal shaping equipment. I'm going to try to create this reinforcement piece in a way that won't catch as much rust or catch as much dirt that then creates rust. So I'm going to try to fold it over this way and have it meet up with the inner rocker. And I'll show you what that looks like. Basically, I'm just going to measure out how much farther it needs to go. So I'm going to probably try to extend this piece out. And I may try to bend this down, I'm not sure yet. And then I'm going to try to and mate it up to here like these are, but hopefully in a slightly better way, because the rust issue is this basically just catches water and dirt and it all runs down and collects in that little pocket and creates problems. So I'm going to try to fix that. configuration, I've decided to go with this. It's not beautiful, but it's going to work, I think. Basically, it's just these two pieces, and they're going to go in there. I'm going to tack weld them. I'm just going to spot weld and spot weld here and here. Have this just come down and hug the underside of the main support. It's really going to be very strong because of the 90 that's welded there. And then I'll shape them up a little bit, and then I'll paint them after I weld it in to keep it from being a problem. I might weld them together, but I definitely want an escape at the bottom for moisture if I can, so I'll figure that out. Said and done. It's like that. It's not the prettiest thing. I'll clean that up and paint it and stuff, but it should be pretty strong. And hopefully with the gap it won't catch as much air, or catch as much water. That's my hope. And I'm sure some of you guys are going to give me flack for my welding skills. I just started, so I apologize. So at this stage, I've got the quarter panel back on here. Not like completely, and it's definitely not completely aligned, but I've got the door on. I'm confident that I've got this all jacked up in the right spot, and that when we put this cross brace in now, that we're going to be comfortable getting the outer rocker in. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting the outer rocker cut. Took a little while to get all the structure welded in, but we're there now. So I will start to find the points that need to be put in, and I think we will really be starting to make some progress. So one of the hard parts here is I have to cut the rocker out. I'm trying to fill in this gap and go all the way back. And it's in the back. So I have to kind of make it so I can slip this all up into here without having any issues from kind of below. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm just going to make a template out of cardboard. I'm literally just taking that guy and doing a trace line all the way back with this all lined up against the inner rail here, because I have a straight edge on that cardboard. And I'm doing it that way because, I mean, you could definitely like measure it out and make all the edges really straight, but I'm not that good at grinding, and I'm not that good at measuring. I tend to make mistakes when I do this many measurements in a row, so I'm trying to make sure it comes out as close as I can. So I'm going to just take this guy and then take this from the inner side of the outer rocker, and I should be able to get a pretty accurate reproduction. Okay, so we fit in the new rocker. I didn't get it perfect, unfortunately. We do have a little bit of a cut gap there I'm going to have to figure out there. So, but it's pretty good. It's not the worst. A lot of it's really good. I just somehow managed to make a template mistake, so that's really cool. So we'll spot weld this in. Before I do that, just wanted to show it looks like, because it's actually sitting really nicely. So the door closed. You can see it sits pretty good. Be a hair high, but I can work with that if I need to. Or not the rocker, but the door. Door might be a hair high. But I don't even think so, honestly. Like that's pretty good. So before I actually get this in, I'm going to take it out one more time and paint the inside of the rocker, because I have the opportunity to do that, so I'm just going to do it. All right. So just did some rust preventative Rust-Oleum paint. No biggie, nothing crazy, but just give us some more life out of this whole rig. We got the rocker in today. It's pretty exciting. Finally starting to put this baby back together. A couple of things I've found during this process. First off, die grinder is amazing to have. If you don't have a 22-gallon air compressor, like the minimum thing, that's real. You'll see in the time lapse I stop a lot and wait. That's for the air compressor. And it's running pretty hot. Like I have to kind of give it some time here and there. The spot welds are interesting. For the most part, I've been able to do it pretty well. Every once in a while, though, I run into like it doesn't actually like bite the metal below. So I definitely run into some issues with that. That's why I had to re-weld the first 3 there. But it seems like everything else is tight and working really well. It's really strong. I'm pretty happy with the alignment. The next stage, I believe, is going to be to install the support in here, down in this area here, the brace that's like this one, and then I'll be moving into the front floor pan, and then the actual floor pan, and then I'm hoping to do all that in one day. I think I can. I don't think I have to make anything else or cut into anything else on this side. I think it's all reconstruction now. So yeah, there's a couple of gaps here. I think I'm just going to use panel bond to fill those. I was hoping to have a tighter fit, but you know, you make mistakes sometimes. And then I may have to grind a little more here and there, but I am definitely happy with the way this turned out. This is pretty awesome, and it wasn't that hard to do. It took some time, mostly just figuring stuff out, especially since I had some rust here and there I had to cut out more than I expected to. But yeah, it's turned out pretty well. Thanks for watching, guys. You know, like or subscribe if you would like more content, and we'll see you next time here on Scout, Idaho.